What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with Tech Daily, and in this video, we are checking out the brand new 2023 Motorola Moto G stylus. Now, right off the bat, there are a few things you need to know about this phone. First off, yes, it has a stylus, and once again for 2023, it seems poised to be the only stylus smartphone available that isn't a $1,000 Samsung device, which is great if you're into that, and I'll go over the stylus features in this video as well. The other important thing to mention is this is the non-5G 2023 stylus, the 4G LTE version. There is a 2023 Moto G stylus 5G, which is a totally different phone with completely different specs. When you're shopping around, the two different phones will have different names to reflect that, and I'll have a separate video on that 5G stylus. The last important thing to note is that this phone is a downgrade from last year. And it's not like one or two things were downgraded to allow for other specs and features to be added. Literally every single solitary thing on this phone is worse than last year. The display, the processor, the RAM, the storage, the cameras, it's all worse. So now that you know that, let's go ahead and unbox this thing. And while a lot of companies are really into the minimal packaging nowadays, Motorola seems to have taken their sustainability pledge to new extremes. Slicing into the plastic-free packaging, the first thing we get is the phone itself, of course. Underneath that is another reference to their plastic-free recyclable box with soy ink, whatever that is. There's 2 packets of paperwork included, as well as a SIM ejector tool. Motorola still also tosses in a USB-A to USB-C cable for some reason, even though I'd personally argue that including the older, slower charging cable type nowadays is pretty wasteful. You don't even get a charging brick for it, just a big cardboard insert with blank spots. That also seems wasteful, but what do I know? With all that out of the way, here is the phone itself again. Already happy to see me. I obviously opted for the glam pink color, but it also comes in midnight blue, both colors we've seen from Motorola before. And as far as pricing and availability, $199 is the full retail price for this guy, unlocked from Motorola's website and places like Amazon. However, it's currently discounted $20, so $179 right now. And chances are throughout the summer, this phone will likely be available from various wireless carriers for different deals depending on your customer status. If you're interested in doing some comparison shopping of your own, I'll leave a couple of links down below in the video description to where you can snag this phone at its cheapest current price. So for the purposes of this video, I'll be referencing last year's 2022 Moto G stylus 4G LTE. So when I compare specs or talk about what's been changed, that's the phone I'm referring to. Physically, this new 2023 Moto G stylus is actually quite a bit smaller than last year. It's now a 6.5-inch device. That's the screen size, corner to corner. Last year, it was a 6.8-inch device, and we have the same center hole punch selfie camera, noticeable black borders, and a relatively thick bottom chin framing the display that most of the Moto phones tend to have. In the hand, it's still a very tall phone with that elongated 20:9 aspect ratio, but like I said, it's considerably smaller. So while it may be more comfortable to hold and easier to reach the top edge and corners, you arguably get quite a bit less screen real estate to work with. Around back, the G stylus is all plastic. I do like the shiny imitation metal finish that Motorola brings to these phones, though this pink color is obviously even more pink than last year too. But aside from the water repellent distinction, the fit and finish is familiar and still cheap. The phone is a little curvy and contoured with its rear cover, and there's not much of a camera bump, which is nice, but otherwise no significant other changes to the build. Taking a quick look around at everything else, on the left side is your SIM and SD card tray, and boy are you going to need an SD card because this phone is only available with 64 gigabytes of onboard storage, half as much as last year, most of which is taken up by countless pre-installed junk apps and dumb folders that pummel you with even more junk app suggestions for you to install. So yeah, that's not fun. On the right side, your usual volume buttons just above the power button / fingerprint sensor. This is totally fine, easy to set up, seems to work well with waking and unlocking the phone, no complaints there. Nothing at the top of the phone. At the bottom, the headphone jack sticks around. There's the USB-C port, speaker, and built-in stylus, which I'll talk about in a second. Selfie camera, secondary speaker up front, which is about the only new thing on this phone. And around back, 2 camera lenses, one fewer than last year, both of which are worse specs that I'll demo in a minute. As far as the display, Motorola has never been a leader with their smartphone screens, but with the 2023 G Stylus, they somehow took a step back, which I didn't even think was possible. The smaller 6.5-inch display here is an IPS LCD panel, 90 Hz refresh rate, fine so far, but they bumped the resolution down to 1600 by 720 for a measly 270 pixels per inch. Last year's phone was a 1080p screen, which is not just the bare minimum for a display, but it's also necessary on a phone this big. You can pick out the pixels from a normal viewing distance here. The display is just not very sharp. And it's not very bright either. You get tons of glare since it's an IPS LCD panel, and I don't even think the glass that covers it is anything special or new. It isn't particularly colorful or vibrant either. It's just bad, plain and simple. And yes, I know this is a sub $200 phone, but so is the Samsung A14 5G. And last year's G Stylus literally had a 1080p screen, so why take that away? I don't understand it, especially since the display is what you look at and interact with most. It's the most important thing on a smartphone. And when a customer asks, is the display better on this year's new phone, Motorola has to explicitly say, no, it's worse. That seems like bad business. And unless they're just recycling old parts on another sustainability perspective, wasting time, money, and resources to produce a worse product than last year seems wasteful, doesn't it? On the bright side, Motorola decided to randomly add dual speakers to this phone, which I guess is cool. I don't know why they chose to do that on this phone of all things, but hey, I'll give them credit. I guess not everything was a downgrade. Now, the whole point of this phone, obviously, is its built-in stylus, and fortunately, Motorola didn't make this worse. They just haven't changed it since the very first G Stylus a number of years ago. At the bottom of the phone, positioned off to the right, you have a little pop-out stylus pen. It actually looks like the same exact stylus as last year, all metal, thin, with a clicky top and pudgy tip. It is, for all intents and purposes, a metal stick. It's not smart, it's not connected to the phone in any way, there's no buttons. It's otherwise not even specific to this phone, other than the fact that it fits inside a little compartment. When you pop the stylus out, you're presented with a sidebar of app shortcuts, some of which are stylus related, some are not. The sidebar is completely customizable, so you can add whatever app you want there, and you can use the stylus with any app you want as well. So if you'd rather just use Google's Notes app, for example, instead of Motorola's, or there's a specific art or coloring or drawing app you like, you can install it, move it to the sidebar, and use the stylus perfectly fine with it. You can also just use the stylus as you would your finger to tap and touch and interact with anything on screen. I think everyone knows this, and I know some folks might like to do this to sort of just get a more precise tap on certain small on-screen things. Beyond that, there's really not much more to say. This is the same rudimentary stylus experience we've had on these Moto G stylus phones for years and years now. And there's no new apps, no new features, no new nothing to play with. The writing and drawing experience has the same sort of lag or gap between the pen tip and the line on screen. And that's because, like I said, neither the pen nor the screen are really stylus specific. It's not a bad writing experience per se, it's just not in line with what you get on a Samsung Note or S Ultra phone or an Apple Pencil, for example. It's a stylus experience from 2016, basically. Still, I know the stylus is the reason why people buy this phone year after year. These G styluses are the only affordable stylus phone option, at least outside a used multi-year old Samsung phone. So I get it, but if Motorola is going to keep making these phones every year, why not improve them for once? Inside, the 2023 G Stylus is powered by a worse processor and less RAM than last year. It's got the MediaTek Helio G85, which is a budget processor from 2020, and just 4 gigabytes of RAM. And this goes beyond being a parts bin special. These specs are just insulting. Here are the Geekbench scores, but I shouldn't even have to explain how underpowered this phone is. If you wanted to buy a smartphone with specs from 2020, you can get a 3-year-old flagship phone that's still 100 times more powerful than this for practically the same price. And these are budget specs from 2020. It's like buying a $200 phone that's more than 3 years old. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. At least this phone ships with Android 13, which is an accomplishment for Motorola, but between the dozens of crap apps pre-installed, those dumb folders, which are literally just app lists and ads, and the fact that this phone probably won't get more than one major Android update, if that, I would say that you are literally better off buying a used flagship from 3 years ago over this. It just doesn't make any sense. To Motorola's credit, one thing they always do is cram a big battery inside their phones. This one, once again, has a 5,000 milliamp capacity battery inside, which is great. It'll be a day-and-a-half smartphone, at least for most people, especially since the specs are so underpowered. Just make sure you get something better than a USB-A cable to charge it with. It supports 15-watt wired charging, which I guess isn't terrible, and actually, shockingly, that's better than last year, but otherwise there's no wireless charging or any other power features to mention. Finally, Motorola took one more bold step with this new G stylus in taking away one of the camera lenses. Now, you might think that they'd just remove the depth sensor, since you don't really need that nowadays, and keep the ultra-wide lens, which is very useful. Those are both on last year's phones. That would make sense, but no, they got rid of both the ultra-wide lens and the depth sensor, added a 2-megapixel macro lens for some reason, took away EIS from the main lens, it seems, and then also downgraded the selfie camera, going from a 16-megapixel shooter to an 8-megapixel shooter. And yeah, the pictures are arguably worse than before, lacking in detail, oversaturated to the point where I look pink in color with lipstick on for some reason. I just don't get it. Camera tech is usually what a phone manufacturer upgrades most, at least for the last couple of years. And I know Motorola isn't like a top 5 smartphone camera, but making everything worse is quite the strategy. So yeah, if you have last year's Moto G Stylus 4G, don't bother getting this new 2023 Moto G Stylus 4G. It's a downgrade from start to finish, and I don't really understand why Motorola even released it. The only thing I can think of is that they had a whole bunch of extra parts from previous phones that they wanted to recycle for sustainability. And in the process, they just wanted to maybe make this phone as cheap as possible to also entice people to get one of their more expensive phones maybe. But like, they're ruining their current customer base in the process by releasing worse phones. And any new customer isn't going to buy this. So what was the plan here? Maybe I'm missing something. If I am, let me know in the comments down below. I'd really love to hear your guys' thoughts on this phone. But hopefully you enjoyed this video at least. Be sure to follow Tech Daily on Twitter and subscribe to the Tech Daily YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys later.